What's up, guys? Philly Soccer Page Postgame Show. I'm Mike Servideo here with Matthew DeGeorge from Delco Times. Philadelphia Union edge out Chicago Fire 4-3 on Roland Ulbricht's hat trick. Let's talk about that performance from Ulbricht.
It was a great game, and I think Jim Curtin was right on the money that it could have been more than 3 goals. Really, it's 3.5 goals because he forces that own goal. But he had so many chances. His movement in the box was so good. They did. All the guys really, him and Barnetta had a couple shots from right around the top of the 18. They did a great job of taking that space that the Chicago defense was giving them, and Ulbricht just finished a couple chances. He was quick to react to rebounds, quick in the box, and he was really clinical in finishing those couple chances. And he adds the penalty. He's 2 for 2 on penalties, so that's a skill. So that's something.
Yeah, absolutely. Ulbricht comes in, kind of plays in the 10 role, pushes Tranquillo back a little bit. Ilsinho comes in and plays on the right side. What did you think of that group today?
So far, so good. I mean, it has to be approached with the caveat that if it was going to work against any team in MLS, it was going to be the Fire,
Chicago.
A team that hasn't won on the road in almost 2 full years now.
Yeah.
So
32 games, I think it is.
32 games now, yeah. So it's it kind of had to work today in some ways to see if it was going to be promising. But I do think it's better. One of the things you notice is. A lot of Brian Carroll dropping back. They split the center backs a lot of passing up that way. I think the spacing and the understanding between Herbers and Ulbricht and Barnetta all across that spine is pretty good. It's still a little bit of a work in progress. There's a few times that Pontius and Herbers trip over each other, and that's bound to happen because you have these changes on both ends.
Right.
But so far, I think they've worked well together, and certainly well enough that when Vancouver comes to town on Saturday, there's no problem with going with that same lineup again.
Do you think they will stick with this lineup against Vancouver? I wouldn't be surprised to see Creval maybe come back in.
I think it'll be something close, but it will be. I would think probably Creval for Carroll, just because Carroll's gone 90 minutes each of the last 3 times in a week now, so that's a lot on him. I could see Creval coming in maybe from the start as the number 6, and then you have Carroll as a late game option if you're up, if you're up a goal, especially after a poor job of finishing that they did today. But I think right now Curtin's a big proponent of, if something's working, go back to it. It's up to the players to have the fitness to be able to do that, and I see no reason why he shouldn't change, especially because against Vancouver, you're going to want to push the play. If you let them have the ball over 50% of the time like you did Chicago, they're going to hurt you.
Yeah, certainly. David Accam scores after 2 minutes, I believe, and then he gets on a couple of tears. He gets past Kent Trippett, who has to take him down for a yellow card. I think there was another yellow card early on, too.
Yeah, there was one Carroll pulled him
Carroll
back
as well.
Clipped his heels.
But it seemed in the second half they bring in Josh Yarrow, and Accam is very quiet. Do you think it's a better job team defense? Do you think Yarrow played well?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think on paper, if it's not Yarrow coming back from a long injury setback, this is a game that would have been perfect for him. And I think the yellow card on Tribbett actually is good because it gets, it's hard to say that it's better because they did give up 2 second-half goals. But having Yarrow in to match Accam, that's a better matchup. He's not super physical, so if he's still laboring at all with the shoulder, he didn't seem to show it. But he is a guy who has the speed. I think it's also better team defense to kind of funnel the ball, get better pressure on guys in the midfield so that they can't just play those balls into space and allow Accam to go back there. I think they also did a better job of containing him more. It's on the goal, it's Tribbett stepping up, and that's a fine play if you make it. But if you don't make it, then that's not good. So once you have the lead, you just kind of contain him, turn him backwards, let him play a different way.
Right. Fabian Herbers is a little bit of on an island, still waiting for CJ Sapong to come back from injury. What did you think of Herbers' performance today? It seemed like a lot of running. He had a pretty good chance to score that ended up being Ulbricht's second or late in the first half. What did you think of his play overall?
I think he gave you a good shift of work. He goes 90 minutes for the first time, and that's significant.
Yep.
But the chemistry with a young guy like that, you have the flip side of the chemistry's not there, but you kind of have to let him build it. And you saw there was a couple times where he's just flat out in the way. I think there was one time where he and Pontius run into each other going for a cross. Yeah. There was another time where he was in perfect position to block what was a really good shot by Barnetta that had a chance to go in. So I think he's still kind of feeling out how to do that. He's not a guy that wants to, and this is also different with it being three center backs, but he's not a guy that does what Sapong does, which is try and split the center backs. He likes to play off shoulders and stuff like that, and sometimes that gets in the way a little bit. Also, part of it is kind of a good thing because Alberg makes a lot of the runs that I think Herbers tries to make too.
Yep.
So there's a little overlap there, and if Alberg's going to make those runs as successfully as he did today, you can't really complain.
Union's still undefeated at home. Vancouver comes to town on Saturday, which is one of the tougher tests they've faced here. We talked a little bit about Curtin probably sticking with a lot of the same thing. What do you think they can do differently against Vancouver that they weren't doing tonight?
Well, I think the defensive performance, it's just not. These last few games now, all of a sudden, it hasn't been there. And I think they're going to spend some time, especially if they're going to do some regen sessions this week, kind of looking through that. And really, when you look at it, they've now given up 7 goals in the last 3 games after giving up, I guess, 14 or 15 in the first 14. So that's probably a little bit of a concern. And today, you do it with Gaddis being supposedly your better defensive fullback out there. Or I'm sorry, you do it with Fabinho today. You did it with Gaddis on Saturday. So it's not like you can kind of pinpoint certain people as being to blame. I think a lot of it is trying to put out more fires in midfield and try and stop things that way. Today it's set pieces, which is a little bit different. Saturday you had the one Pirlo goal, which is a fixable problem, which is not to give up
set plays,
in
danger spots,
area. So I think it's a lot of different things that they're maybe not doing right. I think in these high-scoring games, you tend to get a little frazzled and kind of get out of your game plan a little bit.
Sure.
I think Curtin's going to want to try and bring everyone back down and just get back to principles and back to basics.
Great. I think we'll wrap up there. We'll be back here on Saturday when the Union face Vancouver. Philadelphia wins 4-3 over Chicago tonight. Roland Alberg with the second hat-trick in Philadelphia Union history after Sebastian Latou's hat-trick in 2010.
Way back in the second game of the Philadelphia Union, a very long time ago.
Yep. All right, so we'll be back here on Saturday. See you then.